I won't say the N word.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm joined today with Teridax. Teridax was a third-party troll. Caused a little bit of mayhem back in the GamerGate days. I think it's safe to say. Is that right?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm like
Or
this guy right here. I'm like the Joker. That's me.
is that really how you see yourself?
Yeah, I keep that on the wall to remind myself of who I am.
Okay. So, do you just play the Joker character online, or is this like a real life thing for you too?
If anyone, I'll tell you this. I've met a few people from the internet in real life, and they tell me that I'm the same way. I mean, it's kind of like at some point you just become the character.
Huh. Interesting. I know a lot of people. They'll troll online. I trolled when I was a kid. A
Yeah.
little bit, in preteen and teenager. And to me, it was just like, hey, look, I'm gonna go online. I'm gonna go fuck with some people on, this chat room or this forum or whatever. And then I'm
Mhm.
gonna log out and I'm gonna go, hang out with my parents or, see my friends or
Yeah.
whatever. And it wasn't like a big thing.
Well, man, I'm not just going around being an asshole. You people compartmentalize parts of themselves. Same way you're going to talk different from like your friend to your boss or something, you know? It's like I'm not gonna go up to my fucking families on Christmas and start trying to hassle them, you know?
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I prepared a little bit for this interview. I've been thinking about how I want it to go for the past gosh, like month and a half. Because I wasn't originally going to interview any trolls actually, but I was talking with a journalist, and
Mhm.
they actually recommended that it could be a good idea to explore this part of the story, and I wanted to make
Look
sure
at all sides.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, whether we like it or not, you Pterodax and other people who did similar stuff to what you did, they are
Mhm.
part of the story. So
Yeah.
let's explore it. And it was a decade ago.
Oh,
Um,
it's fucking insane how long ago that was.
yeah, it's hard to believe.
Feels like a year ago, but no, it was nearly a fucking. I was talking with Ralph about that a couple weeks ago. It's like, holy shit, how far we've come.
Oh, you still keep in touch with him?
Yeah, Ethan Ralph. Yeah, we still follow each other on Twitter.
Oh, okay. He's become sort of an internet meme now.
Yeah, he's kind of expanded from like what all this was, which is kind of fucking nuts. I love how much fucking shit he serves. It's fucking great.
All right. Well, hey, Pterodax, what made? Well, first off, how long have you been trolling people?
Huh? I mean, I kind of just started. I remember pretty clearly. I was like fucking with people on the internet back in like middle school, which is like 2006 or some shit. I remember this one pretty well. I was fucking with some person on Yahoo Answers. I don't remember what I did, but I remember they told me to go back to 4chan. And I had never heard of that, but I knew that if they wanted people like me there, it had to be funny. So I went, and then it was all downhill from there.
Okay. And I'm looking at a video of you now, and so is the audience. Obviously, the people reading the book don't see a picture. You look relatively young. It looks like you're like in your 30s, roughly, early 30s.
29, close enough.
29. Okay. Oh, so during GamerGate, you were a teenager.
I was like, see, 2014. I was like just turning 20, I think. I
Okay.
wasn't even 20 yet at that point.
Yeah, and that's something too, because I'm interviewing another troll actually, not just you. I'm interviewing someone named Avius. I don't know if they went by that name back then. I don't think they did.
Avius. Yeah, I'm not. That's not ringing any bells. I mean, there's a million things that actually I was preparing for this too. I was looking through like my old screenshots and shit. I have somewhere around here. I have a fucking archive of like all the screenshots I took back then of funny shit I did, and it's fucking. People wrote a bunch of weird fan fiction about me, which is really fucking weird.
Oh,
Like,
well, one of those fan fictions, I guess you could say. I don't know if this was you or somebody else, but somebody vandalized the GamerGate Wikipedia
yeah,
and wrote an article about you that was a little bit unhinged.
yeah. Was that the one with the weird fucking like mural to me at the bottom?
I don't know if I read the whole thing.
Someone
But
made a really fucking weird like mural to me with like fucking. It had like a fucking swastika flag behind it, and I don't. To this day, I don't know who the fuck did that.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, and then there's a picture of you holding up a sign that says, "I support GamerGate because I hate women and want them to die."
Yeah. Hold a fucking butter knife. That was a
Yeah.
funny.
Well, I mean, obviously, GamerGate people got blamed for a lot of the stuff that you did.
Yeah.
I think unfairly for the GamerGate people,
Wow.
and you
Them's
know,
the breaks.
it hurt our reputation very
Yeah.
bad, and then the media kind of ran with that.
I think that's the funny part of the joke that no one really talks about. The fact that people are fucking dumb enough to believe what they want to believe.
Well, so obviously you did a lot of the. Well, actually, first off, do you mind if we go over real quick some of the things that you did?
Sure.
Okay. Now, I try to be very careful with the facts. I'm not going to make claims that are like super outrageous. If you think I'm getting something wrong or that I'm misrepresenting something, please let me know. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, in September of 2014, you allegedly bribed children, or well, not just children necessarily, but people on social media. Now, given the audience of this tweet, though, I think it's safe to say that most of them were probably kids. Is that right? Yeah.
I don't think there's any children supposed to be on Twitter.
Well, it's 13 plus, right? So you can make an account at 13.
Yeah.
But you bribed people on social media with Super Smash Brothers DLC codes. If they would send death threats to Zoe Quinn and blame Gamergate for it, you would give them these codes. But you didn't actually give them the codes. You kind of
There
lied to
were
them.
no codes. It
No?
was a bit that me and some of my other friends were doing. Like, they didn't just saying, like, hey, DM some mutual friend and he'll give you the code just to, like, piss them off and get their DM box filled up. But I just did that on a whim, and it was pretty fucking funny. And Zoe Quinn even saw it herself and retweeted it. I think that's what kind of set it off. But all of that was just 100% on board. I'm just gonna fucking try to get this person's mentions blown up and try and piss these nerds off.
So part of it was to troll Quinn, but part of it was to troll the Gamergate people too.
Pretty much, yeah.
Did anyone take you up on this offer?
I think a few did. I don't remember. I did a few other times too. I gotta say shit like, "Hey, tweet this at this person, and I'll give you a fucking Lamborghini or some shit." Or $1 million or something. It was like a really blatant joke that a bunch of people took seriously to the point where they thought I actually had the game codes, which I didn't. I didn't even own a fucking Wii U or wherever the fuck it was out on that time.
Okay. So that's
I didn't play video games like that. Funny enough,
was that tweet there and that offer, was that your entry into the conversation?
kind of like I knew what was going on with the GamerGate stuff. I remember when like the blog post, whatever her fucking ex posted and shit like that. I remember when that went up, and I kind of just skimmed through it, and I thought this dude's kind of a fucking loser. Who cares? Then I saw the then it started getting funny because they were doing funny shit like that fucking Phil Fish or whatever his fucking name was. They like hacked his website or some shit. That was
Well,
pretty fucking
well, to be
funny.
clear, we don't know that Gamergate people did that. Somebody
Well,
hacked
yeah,
his website.
someone like whoever the hell did it, some dude on V or whatever, kind of fucking defaced it and did all that. And I thought that was funny. Then once it got around to the whole Vivian James stuff and like, oh, we have to worry about our branding or whatever the fuck, or it's like, this is fucking stupid.
So then later on, you did tweet out a picture of a gun at Brianna Wu. This
Yeah,
caused a lot of consternation, of course,
I
because a lot of
remember that.
over 50 people on Twitter, supporters of GamerGate, ended up mass reporting this, including Alan Harris, who I've interviewed, including Sargon of Akkad, who
Oh, that
wanted
guy.
people. He called on people to mass report this for sending
Yeah, I remember
threats,
that now. It was
and
funny.
and then Kotaku in Action, of course, was very upset because.
Well, they were always mad.
So why did you send the picture of the gun to Brianna Wu over Twitter?
I don't even remember. It was funny. The hand wasn't. It was a black. I think it was a black hand too. Even like There was just a picture of a fucking gun hooked up, like hand holding gun. I saw it was a black hand. I was like, oh, that's funny because it's clearly not me. I'm gonna send it.
Did you get banned from Twitter for either of these incidents?
Probably. I mean, shit. I've been banned from Twitter over fucking like 40 something times.
All right. Now you also you claimed on Ryzen IRC
Mm-hmm.
that you doxed Acid Man, but when I asked you about this in private, you said that you don't think you actually did it. You just said that to scare him, right? Or to make him unhappy?
Pretty sure I was fucking with him. I had to look up to remember who the fuck Acid Man even was. I don't even remember that guy, but yeah, I think it was like really fucking paranoid. So I was saying that just to fuck with him, get in his head. Yeah, I remember now. That dude had like a fucking. He showed like some folder he had of like all the documents and information he had on all the people who were trying to take down GamerGate or whatever. And I was like, oh, this dude's fucking nuts.
Well, if he did have documents on trolls, people like you
Mm.
trying to take down Gamergate, and it was all like good research, which I don't know if it was or not. I don't know if he ever released this publicly. I don't think he did.
No,
Um,
it was. I honestly doubt it was even a thing. I think he was just trying to act tough.
if he did do the research though and was very thorough about it, I think that that's like
Mhm.
a fine area to research. I mean, especially when you're being falsely accused of things that you didn't do and you're getting blamed because of these other people's actions. Isn't that a reasonable course of action for Acid Man to take, if it's true?
Yeah. I mean, here's the funny thing about that though, is the whole Gamergate thing, the hypocrisy that always kind of bugged me about it was the fact that they acted like it was some headless hydra. There was no organization. There was no one like there was no control. There was no one like pulling the strings, calling all the shots. But then someone does something like that and they turn around and go, "Oh, no, that's not us. They're not with us." How can you say that if there's no organization?
Well, so I was a supporter of Gamergate actually, and one the way I looked at it is, obviously it's the internet, anybody can use a hashtag, but I think that you can clearly delineate between like the people who are, actually Gamergate supporters. They're obviously talking about this all the time. They love Gamergate. They think it's a good cause. They're in touch with other people who support the movement. And then there's like other people who you have an egg account or someone like you. No offense, but someone like you who's
Well,
like
take it.
going in to try and fuck with things on purpose and try and like sabotage it a little bit or a lot actually, and
Yeah,
that
I
like
can see from that
obviously
end, but so like,
you can't blame everybody for the actions of like these like egg accounts or people like you who clearly are
yeah,
just in it to fuck with people on both
right.
sides.
Right. I'm sure there's like, I mean, I'm sure 90% of the people who were in on the Gamergate thing actually cared about the journalism ethics or whatever. It's just more of a logical thing. How are you going to disown this person from your group if there is no formal group? I mean, what really kind of made me laugh was the like halfway through the revisionist history to try and say it was never about Zoe Quinn when that's literally how it started. I mean, didn't they like make up some kind of like name to call her to like make her like I don't even remember what was it.
Some people use the word literally who because
Yeah,
they thought people say that all we care about is Zoe Quinn or that we care about Zoe Quinn. I don't know who that person is really. I don't care. Literally, who are you talking about? Was sort of like a meme that some people used.
yeah, I get that, but at the same time, I feel like if you have to make up a name to call someone irrelevant, so you can say like if you have to like, it's like the people that call Trump like fucking they call Trump 45 or something to like take away the power from his name, but you're still talking about them. You're just using a fake name to talk about them, but you're still talking about them.
Yeah, and to be clear, like during GamerGate, I didn't really like that idea for the same reason you've really outlined. Like if you're gonna like if somebody's gonna say like, well, Zoe Quinn claims that you harassed her, and you're like, well, literally, who is that? And you know who she's talking about. It's one, it's
Yeah,
disingenuous, and two, like other people can see that it's kind of disingenuous in most cases. Not to say that there aren't like people on Twitter who literally didn't know who she is. There probably were,
yeah,
but that you know, if 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 someone's making that claim, I think it's fair for you to be like, okay, no, look, Zoe Quinn, we don't support harassing her, obviously, and we just, and I think that I think that you said it's about Zoe Quinn. I don't think that's entirely fair, really. I think that
Yeah, I don't think it's all about Zoe Quinn, but it definitely started with all that. Like, I think at some point they tried to rewrite history a little bit, which that was kind of fucking bugging me a little.
yeah, well, so the way I see it, and maybe you'll disagree, but it's that Zoe Quinn was involved in some drama prior to the Zoe post dropping from Aaron Joni, the boyfriend, right?
Yeah,
There was some drama involving her in other communities where she had bad blood with them. Then
yeah.
the Zoe post drops. He claims that he's being abused by her, that she cheated on him, etc., etc. Um, and some people were like, "Oh, this is some juicy drama. Let's talk about that." So you had like YouTubers and people on 4chan and Reddit and online forums saying like, "Hey, let's
Mhm.
talk about this juicy drama." And some of them created the Burgers and Fries IRC chat room, but that was a
Mhm.
pretty small number of people. I've interviewed the owner of that chat room. He says that at its peak it was about 150 people, so pretty small group of people, really.
Who's the owner of that chat again? Was it Thudran?
Yeah, Thydrin, yeah.
Yeah, him. I love that dude. He actually still follows me on Twitter, I think.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I've kind of had a really weird trend in life of like fucking with people so hard that we eventually become friends. And yeah, Thidran, like, he banned me from there 100 times, and I kept coming back. And I think eventually we just kind of like had a mutual respect for each other. She'll do though.
Yeah. So there's people who want to talk about this drama situation, I feel. And then there's also people who are looking at this and like, actually, Nathan Grayson's a games journalist who wrote about her game
Mhm.
and promoted her game over all these other games. And there's
Yeah.
other conflicts of interest coming out, like Patricia Hernandez at Kotaku, um, like Leia Alexander, like uh, Danielle Reindow at Polygon. Like there's always various conflicts of interest coming up, and a lot of people wanted to talk about like this very real or seemingly real issue in games journalism too, and that to just say that, oh, it's about Zoe Quinn, I don't think that's entirely fair, because like some people, for some people who talked about this stuff, which I delineate from being like GamerGate supporters necessarily, because like a lot of people talked about this on the internet, they don't even know what GamerGate is, just because they saw it in the news or they saw it on a YouTube video or whatever, or on a forum. Um, that there's different groups of people with different interests talking about this topic at the same time, and like some of them
Yeah.
don't even really care about Quinn at all.
Yeah, like at some point it did kind of move past her into being a whole thing, and I do think that the whole conflict of interest thing was kind of like fucked. But at the same time, I really didn't give a shit. I mean, video game journalism up until that point had already been known as a joke. So I mean, what's the difference?
There was also a couple of instances, you say dozens, I believe, involving you trolling the live streaming community with GamerGate on both sides.
Yeah.
You,
I'm guessing this is why we're not live right now.
indeed it is. Yes, indeed it is.
I don't know. I don't say those words anymore, but yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I'd have people would like leak fucking. I don't remember who, but I remember one of those people. They thought it was really funny what I did, even though they supported GamerGate. Which I mean, I respect the fuck out of that. That was kind of my bigger issue with it anyway. But no, they'd send me that shit, then I'd just go in, or I'd send it to some friends, and they'd go in. You think what I said was bad? Some of my friends would go in there and they'd yell about how they're going to do something that rhymes with "grill the resident," and then they'd be really scrambling to shut that down.
Yeah.
Oh my, that
And
was so
I,
much
I
fun.
believe I believe it might not have been you, it might have been somebody else. At one point, I think you or another troll actually fucked up one of my live streams, and I had to take it down because you were doing stuff like this.
That is.
Uh, which I mean, like, whatever. I don't consider that to be harassment against me. I'm like, oh my god, Teridax harassed me. Like, whatever. It is a troll, and like that's pretty harmless. I feel
Yeah.
really in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's annoying because you have to like go in and edit the video now and like take that out and then re-upload
I mean,
it.
it's just,
And
really
but
it's just an extension of what people were doing back then on like Twitch. They were like finding the streamers, tracking them down in game, yelling the N word really loud, trying to get them banned.
yeah,
That's really kind of just the extension of that. Just it was shutting down a bunch of fucking nerds who would spend 8 hours of their day in a Google Hangout arguing over GamerGate.
But so Teridax, like, you're a free speech guy, right?
More or less, yeah. I mean, I think there's obvious restrictions to it, but
Do you think that by shutting down these conversations that are happening, including conversations between people on both sides, right? We've got the pro Gamergate and the anti Gamergate people coming together. They're going to try and solve this issue,
mm,
and build a better gaming industry together. I think that's a positive thing, and these conversations are being shut down in some cases because of these actions where you jump in, you say the N word, or someone jumps in and they say, "I'm going to kill the president." And of course, that's illegal. You have to take that down now. It violates YouTube's terms of service too. The
yeah,
N-word stuff does. And so
that's kind of the point. Yeah,
it's shutting down conversations in society, and that seems kind of anti-free speech.
I mean, it was never really that deep of a thought, honestly. It was like, hey, I'm gonna jump in here and fuck with these people and yell at the. I was like 20, don't forget. But I mean, honestly, on a greater level, though, I really think it was kind of useless. Like, I think 99% of internet debates about things that are like polarized, like politics or any of that kind of shit, any of this like SJW type fucking argument shit where there's two very clear and defined polar opposites, no one's going in there to get their mind changed. Like, no one's going in there thinking, hey, maybe this person's going to say something that makes me do a whole fucking 180 on my worldview. No, it's people go in there just to yell at each other over and over again. I mean, I see on these debate streams all the time. I blend into the next generation, that fucking Vouch guy or whatever, fucking that Destiny dude. I don't know how the fuck he's still around,
Well,
but yeah, it's just people
Destiny's
wanting to
pretty
yap,
good.
yap, 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 yap at each other. What now?
I feel like Destiny's pretty good faith actually in how he approaches things, and if you like present evidence that I think he actually
Yeah,
will change his mind on some stuff. And I
he
think some
can.
people do.
I just think in general, like the whole idea of internet debating on things that are clearly polarized, clearly not even close to like the same. Like you're never gonna. It's like I see people debating about Democrat versus Republican. You're just sitting there yelling at each other, and then one of you's gonna call the other one a sheep, or one of you's gonna call the other one a paid fucking mind control, whatever, fucking bot farm bullshit. It's all just a fucking waste of time.
Yeah, I have my critiques of like the Twitch, Kick, YouTube politics community. I think there are a lot of like
Yeah,
valid critiques there, and a lot of it
it's
does
just dick
seem
stroking.
it's performative. Yeah, it's very much not all of it. I do think that there can be good conversations, but those
Yeah,
aren't going to be the conversations where you have 25 people in a call at once.
yeah,
It's going to be a one-on-one with somebody who is good faith. And I think
yeah.
that can happen, and that has happened. I think that can be a really productive conversation in some cases,
It
and
can.
actually change the way people think about things, change the way
It
people think about
can.
issues. But that's not
Possibly. It
most
all
of it.
depends on who's going into it, really. I mean, most people are pretty hard headed. At least in this country, most people are pretty fucking hard headed. You don't see many people like just doing a whole 180 unless some real crazy shit happens.
Well, have you heard the argument that it's not about doing a 180 or convincing the other person to? It's about like having them think about things differently, and that's not going to happen overnight in most
Yeah,
cases. But it's going to be like, huh, I heard this really good argument. I'm going to play around with it in my head for a little bit, see what I think, and maybe I'll move a little bit closer to that position because of this new argument, this new evidence I've seen.
I've heard that. Yeah, that makes some sense.
Anyway, we're getting a little bit far afield. Sorry.
Oh,
Um,
you're good.
so you also were involved with some drama, and well, actually, first off, the live stream thing. I just to make it clear for the book. So what you guys would do essentially, right, is you'd join these calls. Sometimes you'd get like you'd either get leaked the invite or somebody would leak the invite out publicly, and you'd
Yeah,
see that and you'd jump in. You did this to at least one anti-Gamergate person, helicopter guy, and at least one pro-Gamergate person, Lord
I remember
Nurgle,
that guy.
but probably
Yeah,
way
yeah,
more
yeah.
than that.
Yeah, and it was never like I got to get this guy on this side, that guy on that side. It was just, hey, these people, I can get on this stream and yell something to this audience and potentially fuck this guy up. That's the fun.
If one of these people ended up getting banned from YouTube because of this, would you have felt bad about that, or would you have thought it was funny, or both?
I don't know. Maybe feel a little bad, but I don't really care.
Okay. Obviously, I mean, hey, you're very clear. You're the Joker. If they get banned, it's not really your concern, right? Now, you also were involved a little bit with this drama involving one of the GamerGate boards on 8chan, where you were made. So I don't know the full story, and I want to be very careful because I know that you say that your role in taking this board down was basically almost non-existent, and that
Pretty much.
people exaggerated what happened, and
Yeah.
but it seems like the board owner, he was a little bit he was unhappy with Gamergate. He wanted to move on,
Yeah.
and so he was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna burn the whole thing down. So he ended up giving like you a moderator position or something for like a day,
Pretty
and
much. He was that Nico of Death guy, I think it was.
I believe so, but I
Was
don't
that?
know 100%
Yeah.
because there were so many moderators. I don't want to say it was him specifically.
I remember this happened twice, I think. The first time was Nico, who was the original board owner. I'm actually still in touch with him to this day, but he sent me or he was just chatting with me, or I think I applied as a joke, actually, to the board, and then he DM'd me on Twitter asking if I wanted to, because he just wanted to fuck with him. So then he added me, and then people got mad, and he got voted off the island. And then the other Gamergate board happened, and they basically did the same fucking thing. Which, to me, is telling if two separate people come to the conclusion that this is a community full of fucking retards on their own, and they want to burn it down. I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean,
I don't believe in coincidences. All I'm saying.
yeah, obviously, I don't know if that's entirely fair because like I get it.
I mean,
There's like so
it's
many.
a Chan board. It's gonna be full of fucking idiots, no matter what
Yeah,
community it is.
yeah, it's a Chan board, and
So
also
the
it's
crowning achievement to me, for me, is one of those people saying their blood pressure shot up when they saw I was added. Like, dude, I'm affecting your health, and I'm not even doing anything. I didn't even do shit on the board. They just added me, and everyone flipped out. I don't even think I was home when they did that. That was so fucking dumb.
but to 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 put it a little bit, add a little bit of context, and I think you would probably agree with most of this. Like one, it's a Chan board, so it's
Yeah,
going to be a bit of a wet and wild place, so to speak. And
yeah,
then on top of that, it's about this very specific movement or
yeah.
consumer revolt or whatever you want to call it, and people are getting burned out on this, right? Because this thing went on for years, and so some people are like, you know what, fuck it, I'm done with this, and
Mm,
they decide they want to nuke it all
yeah.
because I guess in their heads they're like the protagonists of the story too, to some extent, right? It's
Mhm.
all about them essentially.
Yeah.
And once they're done with it, well, nobody else should talk about this anymore either. It should just be me because I'm the most important figure in the GamerGate thing. And if I quit, well, who cares about GamerGate anymore? Essentially.
Plus, yeah.
Plus, being a moderator is a really difficult job too, and a lot of
Oh,
people are
yeah.
probably like really pissed off because they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not getting any praise for this.
Yeah,
I'm
you're doing it for
wasting,
free.
yeah, doing it for free, and they're wasting hundreds of hours of their life potentially on this,
Oh,
thousands
yeah.
of hours, and so it's just
I've never
not
been
worth
a
it.
forum moderator, but for a while I was an admin on a game server, and it's basically just unpaid babysitting. It's
Yeah, that's
fucking
a
like the most pointless job of all time.
that's
It's
a
kind
good.
of crazy that people will do this. The people on Reddit, like the power mods or whatever. I fucked with them for a while too, but they're just like they sit there and moderate all these busy subreddits all fucking day. They can make no money off it. Their life goes nowhere for it. They're wasting their fucking time, and it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I think it's really sad. I don't know why people make that choice. I really don't.
I don't know. They think they're gonna make a difference in the community or something. That's something that should be automated right there. Like no human being needs to waste their fucking time on that crap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did moderate some communities back then, but like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me, it was never like, oh, I'm a power mod who's gonna mod like 200 subreddits. It's like, hey, look,
yeah.
I've got a small community of people here, a few hundred, few thousand people. I'm gonna
Mhm.
have like a dozen moderators, and I'm gonna take a mostly hands-off approach. And obviously, if it's like doxing or something like that, death threats, like you gotta address it, or spammers, bots, things like that. But like aside from that, you know, take a pretty hands-off approach, free speech, let people talk about whatever they want, as long as they're not targeting other people or doing anything like really illegal or violating Discord's terms of service or whatever, right?
Much, yeah. I mean, that's where the whole like that's why I said free speech with limits. Like, okay, people should be able to say what they want, but if you're gonna go with someone saying, "Hey, I have your address, I'm gonna kill you," there should be consequences. If you're gonna like post child porn, there should be consequences. You know, freedom of speech shouldn't really extend into that shit. But if I want to go online and fucking say some dumb shit as a joke, I should be allowed to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now, so you say doxing's too far. So you never engaged in doxing yourself?
Not that I remember. I don't think I did. I
Okay.
think. I mean, I don't know. I think posting people shit like that. It's just like people are too fucking evil now. Like, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like, trolling used to be fun. It used to be fucking with someone in a way that didn't like affect them off the computer, or at the very least, just like sending empty boxes to their house or fucking sending a Mormon missionary to your house. Now it's like, oh hey, you called me a retard online. I'm gonna send the SWAT team to your house and get your dog killed. Like, no, that's fucking insane.
There was an unverified allegation. I could not verify this claim. I
Mhm.
didn't look super hard because I don't put a lot of trust in the source it came from. But there is
Mhm.
a claim that you were in a group chat, possibly like a voice conversation, and somebody wanted to swat somebody else or had
Not
engaged in
ringing.
swatting. But this claim comes from another troll who I think
Oh
was
yeah,
trolling me. So I don't even
yeah.
think it's true. I don't know if it's true or not, but like it's not a reliable source.
Not that. I mean, I know you're willing to divulge this, but who was the other troll? Someone I knew, maybe.
It was said in DMs. I can't say. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah,
But
I
you did
never
know
did.
them, yes, a little bit.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, I never did any of the swatting stuff. I knew some of those people from the fucking whatever Baphomet board or some shit from back then. They did a lot of shit like that. They did a lot of funny shit. But no, I never would even like that's fucking dumb. Like you're committing a felony at that point. Like it's not trolling, it's a crime.
So
I even
you
told people back then, like the fucking Xbox hacker kitties who do that shit. I'm like, dude, you keep doing that shit, eventually you're gonna get your shit kicked in. They didn't believe me, and then they got their shit kicked in.
so you posted going back to the GamerGate board where you were made a moderator for like a day,
Mhm.
and people really freaked out over this. I think
Yeah.
understandably, but obviously some people have like
Oh yeah.
overreactions, of course.
I mean, that was the point.
Yeah. So you posted on Gamer Gazi about this and were
Mhm.
upvoted, and they didn't seem to like either know or care that you were the one who was, supposedly
That's,
responsible for the death threats that these people were receiving.
I mean, they had no clue who the fuck I was. I don't remember even posting on what did I post on there?
You posted on the. Okay, I have the archives. I can link it.
Mhm.
Your camera's gonna go off for a second, I think, for the recording, but give me one sec.
I'll take my dick out.
Did you do that on stream before? Because somebody did, and I had to take it
Nah,
down, or somebody had to take it down.
that would be funny, but no, I wouldn't do that for free. You gotta pay money for that.
How much you charging? I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. I'm gonna tag you.
Mhm.
It was this Gamer Gazi post you made. You didn't make the topic, but you replied to it.
That link actually isn't. For some reason, I keep clicking the fucking captcha thing, and it just puts me in a loop.
Are you in Firefox?
Yeah, is that it?
It does the same thing in Firefox for me too. You have to use a
Okay, it's
different
cool.
browser.
I got Chrome. Let me open that up real quick.
Yeah, you
Good to know
posted
though.
it.
It was pissing me off the other day. I was trying to read some shit.
Oh yeah, I don't
Okay.
know why Firefox does that. I have no idea. It's really annoying. So you posted in here that Nico isn't actually in the GNAA, and
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
also
it was. I sent in a mod app as a joke. He replied, and then yeah, all I did was delete some spam posts. Like people were posting like scat porn or some shit, and I just deleted that. Reading through this shit.
None
I
of it's
really go on 8chan save for pornographic reasons. That was good.
And you say though that you think that the GamerGazi moderators did eventually ban you once they figured it out that you weren't one of them.
I think so, yeah. I've been banned from Reddit so many fucking times. I was one of the first people, actually, I was one of the first people IP banned from Reddit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who the fuck is calling me? Oh, scam call. Yeah, no, it was me and it was this group called Game of Trolls that I was with back in like 2012. I was still in high school when we did this. But it was basically like a competition. Like we'd compete for points, and depending on how effective the troll was, how many times it was upvoted on Reddit, you can look some of this up. There's still some remnants of it out there. But our last big ploy was we social engineered the. Well, I didn't do this. I was actually at school. I got home for this, but one of them social engineered one of the mods on the AMA subreddit to add him, saying he was the alt of another mod. I think they just changed the spelling of the name or something. Say, hey, add this account. The dumbass actually did it. And then we went in there and defaced a bunch of like the fucking backdrop of the subreddit with like scat porn and shit. And posted a bunch of dumb shit. It was all undone within like 10 minutes, but we got IP banned from Reddit for it.
Now I kind of want to bring this up almost as a joke.
Of course.
But you posted about it on your website. One of the trolls that I guess you were proud of is that BuzzFeed considered you the 17th worst thing on the internet
Yeah. That
because
was
oh god.
the turkey picture.
Yeah, so and hey, look, it was just Thanksgiving 2 days ago in
Mm.
real life in
People
2023.
still bring that up to me every Thanksgiving. They bring up the Butterball tweet. It was so fucking funny.
Did you actually fuck the turkey or put your dick in it?
I fucking someone else tweeted that picture and I just stole it and tweeted it with that caption. I never intended to even make people think that was me. People just ran with it and I was like, "Oh, cool. Now I'm being interviewed by BuzzFeed for this." Okay.
And you also on your website you have a list of various other trolling things that you've done, including I believe supposedly hacking various celebrities. Is that right?
What is? No. What was on that website? My website even up right now?
No, it's down. It redirects to your Twitter now. But I've got the
Oh yeah,
archive
no.
of the website.
You post that to me actually. I want to look over that. I don't
Yeah.
remember what like I want all the context here. But
Yeah, I'm not trying to I don't I'm not
no,
going into
no.
this
I
to
mean,
put you on trial, you know.
if I posted it online, then I'm not gonna like pretend I didn't do it. It's like people accuse me of like doing illegal shit all the time, and I'm like, if I did, it would never be under this name.
Well, to be clear though, I mean like you do say on your website that
Mhm.
if you pay me money, I'll hack things for you.
Yeah, no, that was a bit.
Okay.
Okay, how do I?
And there's these articles that talk about you that are linked, and they
Uh huh.
claim that you're like a major hacker in the internet.
Hmm. That was just a bit I was doing at the time because I remember like the Lizard Squad shit. That was a funny thing. Yeah, see, I never hacked. Yeah, the Reddit thing, it was hacked. That's the closest thing. The Breitbart thing, that guy actually knew me. He was playing into the bit. Oh, the Bernie Sanders thing, that was someone I knew, and they just kind of added me to it. Yeah, it was a brief period of time where I had a friend who I don't remember what database leaked, but I think it might have been OBS, funny enough, which is actually what I'm using right now. But some database for some gaming related thing got leaked, and this person went in and compared all the logins to a bunch of other like Reddit accounts and stuff, and they found mod accounts on like the JonTron subreddit, the speedrunning subreddit, the Bernie Sanders subreddit. And so what we did is we went in there and defaced them.
Gotcha. Okay, so you didn't hack it yourself, but you fucked with the people
No,
after the fact, after it was already
pretty
leaked.
much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had a friend who knew what I like to fuck around. Like, hey, you should come have some fun with this shit. The speedrunning thing was actually funny because the owner of the subreddit, everyone hated him, and they were actually kind of happy to see us fuck him up. But actually, I think I still had some. Let me see if this is still up. Yeah, I documented all this on my live journal. I was doing that. Let me post that in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing that for a minute. I'd forgotten about that actually. But yeah, I'd been like just documenting all the funny shit I did to save for the future.
So, Teridax, I want to ask, and look, I'm not the internet police. I'm not the real
Mhm.
police. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal guy. But do you think that the stuff you did was moral?
There was never any morality behind it. There was never any, oh, I'm gonna fuck with this guy because he's a piece of shit. I'm gonna fuck with this guy because he. No, it was just like, hey, I'm gonna fuck with people, and people don't talk about. I fucked with like both sides of the GamerGate shit. I was like, it's just at some point, eventually, one side became funnier to fuck with than the other.
Which side was that? I'm curious.
The pro GamerGate side, I mean, the anti GamerGate side, they were getting fucked up enough on the daily. What was the point? But the pro ones, they were the ones who were formulating all the weird conspiracy theories about me. They were the ones who were actually making it entertaining. Let's see.
So, if Brianna Wu is
Mm-hmm.
watching this and she's like, this guy sent a picture of a gun at me.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he did more stuff that he's not willing to admit to because it violated the law. I'm not saying you did, but like if she's
Yeah.
looking, if she's watching this or reading the book, and she's like, "This has really fucked up my life for a long period of time." The
Mm-hmm.
fact that I was the victim of this what many people would call harassment,
Yeah.
and you're not the main person who did it. You're not the only person. Well, I don't know about main person. You might have been the main person, but you're not the only person who fucked with her. Obviously, other people did
Yeah.
too. The Kiwi Farms community went after her, and still are to this day.
Yeah.
So it
They're a
wasn't
bunch
like
of freaks.
it wasn't just you, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
it. Do you think that she is justified if she is upset about what you did?
I doubt she even remembers I exist, honestly. There's been enough shit going on for her.
And I think the most lasting damage you did, and again, I could be wrong, but I think the most lasting damage you did wasn't like the tweet you sent to Brianna Wu or even the
Mm-hmm.
bribing of the kids
Yeah.
uh, to send those death threats to Zoe Quinn. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's that you got GamerGate blamed for all this stuff, and like that was a very deliberate choice on your part too, right?
Of course. Yeah. That's kind of the point, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm looking through all the shit right now. Hey, I found the thing we were talking about. Yeah, look in the chat. Well, I posted the shrine that someone made of me, but here's the yeah, Sargon saying to report the tweet. Yeah, it's a black hand holding the gun. And it says, hey, at Brianna Wu, hashtag Gamergate. Yeah, that shit was funny as fuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's funny because we got blamed for it, and I don't support
Yeah.
sending death threats as a general matter.
Let's see, what else do we have?
But also, I do want to point out too something that is
Yeah.
it's something that is obvious to me at least.
Mhm.
All this stuff is out in the open. You've got
Yeah.
your live journal blog post here. I was able to
Mhm.
on my own find all sorts of stuff out about you that some of
Yeah.
which wasn't on your website, some of which I had to dive deep for a little bit, like the IRC chat logs involving you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I consider that public too.
yeah, it's public information. But all of this is public information. I was able to find it all out relatively quickly. You have
Yeah.
your own website, your own blog, even where you talk about this stuff and the things that you
Yeah.
did, and yet the media still blamed us for the stuff that you did and didn't like look into it at all. It seems.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes back to the whole point of how can you really disavow someone if there's no organization? These people don't know or care enough to really dig any deeper. And frankly, I think that's also a point too, is making these news people look stupid.
Was that one of your motivations at the time, or is that just something that happened after?
kind of something that just really happened, and I was like, hey, that's also funny. I'll go with it.
Did anybody reach out to you to interview you about the stuff you were doing?
No, not that I remember. Did I?
BuzzFeed talked to you, right? But that wasn't about
Not
GamerGate. That
about
was
the
about
game.
something
Nah,
else.
not about the GamerGate crap. Yeah, that was just about the turkey thing. Nothing ever really came from that.
It just seems kind of wild to me. Like because I think of myself and what I'm doing here as like an active journalism, of like real journalism.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to find this stuff out without even like I didn't like dig that deep even.
Yeah,
I, and it's these people are professionals writing for like the Washington Post and they're getting paid full time to do this and they can't even spend like 5 minutes to figure out, hey, wait a second, maybe this Teridax guy is just a troll.
much, yeah.
And look at this, you got like your blog here. You've got like multiple blog posts detailing the things that you were doing.
Yeah,
And like it's all publicly available information. It's not like this is like some secret thing.
basically, yeah.
It's
I don't
just
think I ever talked about it. Did I ever get into the GamerGate shit on here? I don't think so. I think it was just me fucking with the Reddit people. Did I? Let's see. There's the John Tron shit. There's me reviewing that movie. Yeah, that's
you
the Game of
do
Trolls
talk
stuff.
about Gamergate a little bit on here, but it's not the main topic because you trolled a bunch of different communities at
Oh,
once.
I remember I bought some 8chan ads. That was funny. Yeah, I put Gamergate is for pedos on a fucking ad, and I paid fucking like $5 for it. They got all mad about it.
Yeah, in your January 18, 2016 article on your blog,
Yeah,
you do talk about Gamergate a bit. And then also, is that the only entry where you talk about it? Or
that's it. Is that the one you were reading about the 8chan ads?
no, it's about it's about yeah, the pedo thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. There's one, the very
Gamergate.
first one. Yeah, I was gonna do this a lot more, but I think I kind of just ran out of effort to give about that shit. Fucking writing a whole blog post anytime I fucked with someone.
So
Kind of got old.
you were trolling Gamergate from around September 2014 to at least January 2016, is that right? Or was it
Right when it
beyond
started,
that?
yeah. I think at some point I kind of just quit giving a shit. Yeah, I didn't even give a shit around the time of the fucking speed run shit. I don't even think I did. Yeah, I think we were just fucking with them at that point.
Okay. All right, well, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds here. So,
Oh, you're good, man. We can talk about whatever.
it's you think of yourself as the Joker, you fuck with people on both sides, especially the pro Gamergate people.
Mhm.
And I just gotta, but why? Why do all this stuff?
Bored.
But couldn't you like get a hobby and like I don't know, play
I have
basketball or
hobbies.
something?
I was like 19, 20. I don't think I had a job back then either. I think I was kind of just kicking it at home. And yeah, I was fucking around. Shit ton of free time. I wish I had that free time now, but yeah, I also had a shit ton of free time and saw a bunch of nerds being dumb online and figured I'd fuck with them.
Do you consider yourself a nerd too?
I think we all are.
All right. So you talked about other trolls, and obviously there were other trolls. I'm interviewing another one in a couple days on
Mhm.
Monday, and did you work with you basically said you did work with these people, right? The other trolls, not necessarily Avius, the other troll, but
Yeah.
other
There
people.
was there wasn't much of an organization to it. It was usually just other people who saw what I was doing, thought it was funny, wanted to do it with me. There wasn't much in terms of like, hey, let's all coordinate some kind of scheme to fuck with these people. It was just kind of really easy. I think that's kind of why I quit fucking with them too, because it was just low hanging fruit. Plus, I already kind of accomplished my goal of making them insanely paranoid. So I mean, there wasn't much else to do. I had people blaming me for shit I never did. Which, by the way, my favorite accusation from that whole thing was the paid troll one. Because, I mean, shit, I would if I could. If anyone was offering me money back then saying, hey, fuck with this guy, I'd have done it.
Yeah, and so multiple people have said this. I've tried to give some verification on it, but I've not tried super hard.
Yeah.
Um, that you weren't even on the GamerGate auto blocker, that you got whitelisted by Randy Harper.
Yeah, and I to this day do not understand why the fuck she did. I guess she was trying to. I mean, okay, she was actually being right because it was just to block, wasn't just to block assholes, it was to block the Gamergate people. So, I mean, technically, I did kind of belong on it, but it looked really bad optics wise. She would have been much smarter to just kind of ignore it and let it go. I mean, she even posted some long blog post talking about why she went through with the fucking point of like whitelisting me was because I was technically not a Gamergate person, so I didn't belong on there, even though I was an asshole. So I get where she was coming from, but it was still a really dumb move.
Well, it would have been if I wish Randy Harper was so honest in other cases, because it seems like if she didn't believe that the third party trolls were Gamergate people, she should have went to the media and said, "Hey, look, all these articles you're writing about this are wrong, actually." But she didn't.
Yeah,
She didn't stand up for us. She actually kind of condemned us really bad. But whatever, it's a decade
yeah.
ago, I guess.
I don't think anything I did ever got into any like actual big articles as far as fucking the Gamergate did.
Well, the
Unfortunately.
as I'm sure you might have seen, none of the articles ever got into specifics. Pretty much, they're always just like GamerGate,
Yeah,
people who hate women on the internet and want to harass them out of the gaming industry. And it's like, whoa, hang on, what the fuck? They never like went into like, here's the specific accusation we want to make. Here's why we're making that specific accusation. Like, there's like nothing. It was just all bullshit, dude.
yeah. That is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that kind of ties back to the whole thing of how can you really truly disavow someone from a faceless, headless movement, if you want to call it. I'd say the same thing about any kind of group like that. Any kind of like, I mean, you get people like, I don't know, if like like, say like a Trump supporter shot up a school or something, people turn around and say, oh, the Trump supporters did this. And they'd say, oh, well, he's not one of us. Where do you draw how do you draw the line on that? Like,
Well, again,
what?
I think even if there were like some bad people doing stuff, that like obviously the vast majority of people weren't. And like we don't see like Black Lives Matter or Occupy Wall Street or Chinology or any of these
Yeah.
other groups being demonized in the same way that Gamergate was, or Open D&D, the Open D&D people.
Yeah. I'll say off topic, it's pretty fun. I think someone in that text chat, they just tabbed over and saw the weird shit I'm posting, and they don't understand the context.
Sorry, I'm eating a roll. It's sort of my like a Thanksgiving like dinner roll. All right. So I don't want to circle on this too much. I do want to get back to the morality though, because I know a lot of people reading this are gonna be like, "What this guy's doing?" Like it's just jokes, you could say, but like
Yeah.
it did it it did contribute to this idea that GamerGate is evil,
Yeah.
and like people have lost their jobs over this because of they have like people have like tried to
Oh.
cancel Tim Saray, people have tried to cancel uh, Alan Harris. People called him. They didn't know he was an independent contractor,
Yeah.
but they called him and were trying to get him fired because they thought that they were talking to the owner of the company, but the owner of the company is himself. So
That's
they
actually pretty
failed.
funny. But
Like
yeah,
Tim,
no, that's fine. I don't think anyone should be taking internet shit in real life. That's fucking stupid.
yeah, and
It's
obviously
like unless you're like fucking like remember a while back there was some like weird fucking like teacher or something who was posting about how they like children or something. That should absolutely be reported in real life because that has real life consequences. But just fucking video game bullshit, like why? It's dumb.
Yeah, and some of the people I've interviewed, Silver Wolf Cece, she ended up actually getting kicked out of volunteer organizations because they believed the lies about Gamergate, which like you perpetuated.
That's pretty fucking dumb.
And I got my I was hosting events at conventions, and at one of the conventions, two of the conventions, people tried to cancel me. In one case, cancel my event. In one
Mm.
case, the convention stood up to them and said, hey, look, we value freedom of speech and open discussion. In the other case, they caved to the mob, and they ended up canceling my panel that I worked really hard on to create this whole PowerPoint presentation and have a debate even with me and another anti Gamergate person, where we talk about it in real life at this convention. And they ended up this group of people on social media ended up canceling it and almost possibly got me banned from the convention, though I wasn't, thankfully. It entered the real world because people believed
Yeah.
these lies, basically.
Wasn't there some GamerGate event that got swatted?
I don't know about swatted, but there were multiple GamerGate events that got bomb threats called in, including the
Yeah,
GamerGate,
that can.
Airplay got bomb threats. So did the GamerGate meetup in DC, and
Yeah,
so
I
did
remember all that
so
shit.
did one of the
That's fucking.
Australian ones too.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, no one should be doing that kind of shit over internet crap. Leave it on the screen.
So were you a member of the GNAA?
More or less. I mean, this was kind of after the GNA's heyday, but yeah, it's kind of a last minute hanger on, more or less. But the GNA kind of died when Weave went to jail, and I didn't even meet Weave until he got out of jail. But we got along pretty well, and yeah, I was in the GNA for that. And I think at that point it just kind of fizzled out, and people just started fighting with each other. Everything split up. You know how it goes. Internet community shit, drama.
But you wrote in an article that most of the GNA people didn't really care about Gamergate. It was only a small number of them who really got
Yeah,
involved. Is that right?
yeah. I mean, most of the core GNA people were in their like fucking late 20s, early 30s, around my age now. They didn't give a fuck about that shit.
And I should probably
They're,
qualify by involved. I mean, like, decided to fuck with people on both
yeah,
sides.
most of them didn't fucking care about that crap at all. It was just like me and like two or three other people that thought it was funny.
All right. So,
Frankly, I mean, I'll be honest, I think Gamergate kind of contributed to the death of like trolling for fun as it is. That's kind of what pissed me off a lot about it, really. Because before it was all about just about, hey, let's fuck with these people because it's funny. Now it's like, hey, let's fuck with these people because my beliefs and their beliefs, I'm on this side, they're on that side. Like, there's no one left anymore that just fucks with everyone like I did. It was all about, hey, I believe this. These are like, I gotta take a side. It's not just for the lulz anymore. It's because I'm mad.
I do want to do a quick speed round, if you don't mind, going through a
Of
couple of
course.
the anti-Gamergate people, like what you think of them.
Of course.
What do you think about Zoe Quinn?
I don't really care, honestly. I think she kind of knew that I was fucking around. Like, she didn't actually think I was some Gamergate person. She's probably upset that I was trying to, like, direct people to send her shit, but I don't really care, honestly. I've never talked to Zoe Quinn in my life. I think she blocked me, actually, on a few accounts.
What about Brianna Wu?
I mean, she seems to be funnier now. Like, she seems to be posting a lot less stupid shit that I've seen. So, I mean, I got no complaints.
Yeah, she does seem she does she's changed her approach to this sort of stuff. Like if
Yeah.
um the social she was God, it's so weird to talk about this stuff. But back during the Gamergate days, the pro Gamergate people were always willing to talk, as I'm sure you noticed.
Yeah.
The anti Gamergate people, though, with some exceptions, but for the most part, they didn't want to talk to pro Gamergate people ever under any circumstances and like have a conversation. And she
Yeah.
was more in that camp in the beginning. She did later on end up having a conversation with Hatman, and then in the past year, she's
Mhm.
been more open to the idea of okay, maybe not all the GamerGate people are so bad. Maybe I should try and build a bridge with them and we can work something out. Which I think that's admirable actually.
Yeah, I'll say so.
What about Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh?
They were fucking grifters from the start. Like, even like all their shit was just basic, factually incorrect entry level shit. And if everyone had just fucking ignored her like they should have, none of this shit would have happened.
What do you mean by none of it would have happened?
Like, literally, that was kind of like ground fucking zero for the fucking Gamergate shit, which led into a bunch of other things, was the Sarkeesian crap. Like, if everyone didn't have to fucking, oh, this bitch is wrong, I need to tell her to go fuck off or make me a sandwich, cunt. Like, if no one did any of that shit, like, she'd fucking be irrelevant. And none of this shit would ever happen.
Yeah, well, to be clear though, like she was making videos about video games like years before Gamergate even
Oh,
happened.
yeah, no, I'm saying this is like a very early distant, like, this laid the groundwork out for it. This is all the foundation for it. Like, if everyone had just fucking ignored her, then none of this shit would have ever happened.
And obviously, I don't support people telling her, go make me a sandwich or whatever. I don't endorse that sort of thing at all.
No,
There were a lot of people who did. Look, she's putting ideas out in the world. I think if
yeah,
you want to debate and discuss those ideas, which I did, I made response
yeah,
videos to her videos. Um, I put out alternative ideas. I think that that's
yeah,
totally fine. That's part of the realm of ideas and discussion within a democracy.
yeah. But at the same time, that's putting more eyes onto them. I mean, she kind of rode the whole, all the hate she was getting, which I'm not saying that's what you were doing, but like all the hate she was getting from fucking random dumbasses on fucking 4chan who didn't like what she was saying and decided, hey, I'm gonna tell this bitch she needs to get raped or whatever. Like, she was taking all that, and then that was kind of the advertising for her. Was, oh, all these people are mad, all these people are harassing me. And I mean, if everyone just fucking did like what we should all do with dumbasses and just fuck harmless dumbasses and just ignore them, they go away.
Well, obviously, I think you're right. Actually, I think that the people who were attacking Anita Sarkeesian, like the people who were like sending her really
Yeah,
shitty tweets and stuff like that, and the person who called a bomb threat into her speech, her university
yeah,
speech, like that
it's
was
fucked up.
obviously that's extremely fucked up, and it gave her in the media basically an opportunity to say, hey, look, I'm just putting my ideas out there and I'm being attacked for it. And she was correct. She was being attacked for it. But I don't think it was Gamergate people mostly. She even published a list of the people who were harassing her, and not a single one of them supported Gamergate. In fact, out of like the 100 people on the list, only like two of them had ever used the hashtag even once.
Yeah. I mean, once again, that kind of comes down to it. How can you really like prove someone is or isn't with Gamergate?
Well, no, because like you can though, right? I mean, like if like a rando account, some random guy is like, "Oh, I hate you, go kill yourself." Like,
Yeah,
and this person's never been involved with Gamergate. Apparently, like you can like look into it. They've never tweeted it out. They never posted on Reddit. They've never done
yeah,
anything. Like, why would you? Why would you just assume? Well, it must be a Gamergate person. Like that seems kind of disingenuous, right?
it is. I mean, it can be, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I said, there's no roster to go off of. There's no list to look down. Oh, hey, this guy isn't on here. He's not with them. That's kind of, I mean, that's really just kind of the danger of having a nameless, faceless, like, I don't want to say group movement or something like that, is you can't really kick anyone out.
But I actually I think I disagree because I think that Gamergate people did like a really good job policing themselves. Like we
Yeah,
would not allow that stuff on our forums. We would not allow that stuff in our like Discord, our main Gamergate Discord server, which I ran. We
yeah,
wouldn't we wouldn't we also had like an anti-harassment patrol on Twitter, which would get these
yeah,
accounts banned if they did end up doing something bad, like
yeah,
sending a death threat. Like I think that that's like I think that's doing your due diligence and like going above and beyond in ways that like Black Lives Matter didn't have to do, and yet
Yeah.
nobody's saying that like Black Lives Matter are like evil or Occupy Wall Street or open
Black Lives
DNC.
Matter. People say that all the time. That's
Well,
actually another
okay.
good point. I mean, people say
Only
that like,
conservatives say that though. The media doesn't say that, right? And even some of
I
the
mean,
conservatives like BLM, right? Like Mitt Romney participated in
yeah.
BLM protests.
Well, BLM is actually kind of the perfect example. You know, they're not I mean, they are an organization. There is an organization. They've kind of fucked, but as far as like the whole movement, it's not an organized thing. It's a hashtag that people relate to and attach themselves to. And if people at a BLM event start throwing bricks at cop cars, which frankly I think is everyone's civic duty, you know, the suddenly it's, oh, BLM does this, Antifa does that. You know, that's another nameless, faceless movement that has the same kind of shit. Fuck.
Yeah, though there are people who do blame like BLM and stuff, but
Yeah,
that's mostly like conservatives doing that. It's not like the
yeah.
mainstream media. You're not going to go on CNN and see, oh, BLM are evil monsters trying to destroy our city. Like
Well,
they'll say
CNN
that
is
like
reading a script. I mean, let's be real here.
I mean, or and not just CNN specifically, but like any of like the
Yeah,
mainstream media, like New York Times. New York Times not going to
yeah.
write an article about how BLM is a terrorist organization, right?
Nah.
But well, New York Times specifically. I don't know if they said that about GamerGate, but the Washington Post did.
Mm.
The Washington Post is not covering GamerGate the same way that they're covering Black Lives Matter,
Yeah,
even though they're both like essentially the same kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I got you there. Journalism. I mean, journalism's fucked. Video games, world relations. I mean, even this whole Israel Palestine thing has a lot of like journalistic old media showing their asses on stuff like that. Like I saw something earlier talking about how, like, with the whole transfer of hostages from Israel to Palestine, like they're basically humanizing the Israeli hostages, but the Palestinian ones, they're like they don't give a shit.
Yeah, there are definitely biases.
Yeah,
So, how much of the media's claims about Gamergate being a harassment campaign, how much of that do you think is because of third-party trolls like you versus like a rogue Gamergate guy who decided to like go crazy?
me, I probably very little, honestly. I really didn't do that much. That's kind of irrelevant, which kind of made all the conspiracies about me even funnier. I mean, those Baphomet guys or whatever did more harmful shit than me. But I'm the one who was getting accused of like fucking swatting people and being on the run from the feds and all this other weird shit. That's kind of made him funnier, honestly.
Yeah, I
Like I
agree.
was just some bored ass teenager sitting here on his fucking laptop, fucking with people, and like I'm the fucking boogeyman of these fuckers.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, see, it's like no snowflake feels they're responsible for the avalanche.
Yeah,
You know, like I think that what you did and what Atheist did, they contributed to that perception. Um, but I think like the really bad stuff, like that was, like you said, that was Baphomet,
yeah,
that was the Bill Wagner crew too. Um,
yeah, my homies.
you know, they doxed like half the people in Gamergate practically.
Yeah,
Uh, Yeah, including myself actually. There was
all
yeah, well, you
right.
were in the chat room when it happened because you were in Ralph's private server.
I probably. Oh yeah, the Slack group or whatever the fuck it
Yeah,
was. Yeah, I remember that now. It's all coming back to me.
yeah. You were there. I have got the logs of it actually, but you
Yeah,
didn't say
Goose and
anything. You might not have been online at the time, but
I barely fucking ever remember to use that shit. Who the hell uses Slack? Is my question. Like, that's something I never got about old Ralph. Why the fuck are we on Slack? Like this fucking like boomer Discord.
so yeah, Wild Goose there. Yeah, Wild Goose ended
Yeah,
up doxing me, and Ralph allowed it to happen, and he harassed my parents actually in the real
Jesus,
world.
I was
Uh,
fucked. I'm sorry I did that.
yeah, I mean, like it was 10 years ago, like
Yeah,
whatever. And I'm not an idiot. If I'm getting like trolled, I'm not gonna like feed the troll. So
yeah,
like
no, that's a smart thing to do.
the Bill Wagner crew got bored after like a couple of days, like after like a week and a half.
You did the smart thing.
Yeah. So that's also something I kind of want to talk about because like if you talk to people who've been on the internet for a long time,
Hmm.
they'll tell you, look, if you're getting trolled, don't feed the trolls. But then there's also this other school of thought that like the anti-Gamergate people, some of them had, which was like, hey, look, I'm being attacked. I want to make this a huge deal,
Hmm.
and go to the media about it, and
Yeah.
I want to fight back against the trolls and get my own people to like counter dox them and like all sorts of weird stuff, like the Zack Attack group, and so like and I don't want to victim blame, right? Like I don't think that just because somebody responds to the troll poorly that means that they
Yeah.
deserve to be trolled, right? I don't think that that's like trolled, like
I
not
think,
trolled. I'm not even saying like when I say trolled, I really mean like actually harassed, like doxxed, not
yeah.
like not like a mean tweet, right? But like actually
Yeah.
harassment. Um,
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, pretty much don't feed the trolls is kind of the main. Yeah, because I mean, if I'm trying to fuck with someone and they don't reply, I'm just gonna find someone else to fuck with. That's kind of what the whole GamerGate thing. Like, if weren't sitting there for like 2 years making weirdo conspiracy theories about how I'm pulling all these strings behind the scenes or being fucking paid by Zoe Quinn to harass people or some shit, then I would not have cared. I'd have found someone else to. And like literally the thing with the Smash Code thing, like I've sent that to like 10 fucking people about 10 different things. That's just the one that took off. At the end of the day, a whole community of people gaslit themselves by a bored fucking teenager. And I think that's hilarious.
so what do you think of? So is I think the best way to handle the troll is to just fucking ignore them. But
Yeah.
like Mist Sonata, a critic of GamerGate, I've interviewed her over text. I actually haven't read her interview yet. I need to at some point, but I'm been so busy with all the other ones, the voice ones. Um,
Yeah.
but she's in my chat sometimes, quite a bit actually. She watches most like maybe half of them, and she's like in the chat chatting in, providing feedback. I've been talking with her in private. She says that it depends on why the troll is doing what they do. That sometimes if you ignore them, they don't just go away.
Very.
I'm
I
not.
mean, if you're like a fucking psycho and you're sitting there like trying to harass this person or whatever, that's one. But 99% of the time, if you're just trying to fucking just cast ropes out of whatever. And if they're not biting, you go somewhere else.
And I do want to clarify too. I think it's okay. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
fine that like
Mm-hmm.
Anita Sarkeesian or Brianna Wu went to the media and talked about the stuff that they experienced. I think that
Yeah.
that's totally legit. But what I don't like is that they were saying Gamergate is doing this to me. That's where I have an issue. Especially
Yeah.
when I don't know about Anita, but Brianna Wu I think knew that it wasn't all Gamergate people, especially when she was like she considers the top moderator of Kotaku in Action, the former top
Mhm.
Alex Baldwin, the Hat Man, the Hat 2.
Yeah, Hat Man. I
Yeah,
love that guy.
she considers him her friend. So like, how can you call him your friend when he's leading what at the time was like the largest GamerGate forum, and then like also go to the media and say GamerGate are all a bunch of harassers?
Was
It,
this like at the same time?
well, this was like 2 years later,
Yeah.
but like it was still during GamerGate, like it was still an active, ongoing thing. So maybe she changed her view on that and moderated.
Well, I
Um,
mean, let me ask you a question. When do you consider the time frame of Gamergate to be
uh,
like a thing?
for me personally, 2014 to 2018. I was involved until about 2018, early 2018. But some people say that they cared about the stuff up until today. Even there's a few people out there who think that GamerGate's still happening.
I don't know. I'd have called it at like the end of like 2016, really.
Well, there was still a lot of stuff happening in 2017. Like we had a
Yeah, but I
ton
mean,
of meetups and torrential downpour was going on. Uh,
what's that? I gotta.
What
Check my
I
thing
think
again.
torrential downpour started in like 2015, 2016 maybe, but it was like an ongoing project. And then
Yeah,
yeah, there was a lot of stuff happening in 2017, but 2018, by late 2017, 2018, it was really dying down.
yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I can't remember time frames on half of this crap, honestly. Like, yeah, end of 2015 is kind of the last time I really saved any like files from what I was doing here. And then here I got some screenshots from 2016 of some fucking Kiwi Farms weirdo thinking I'm some kind of like evil internet terrorist. Blaming me for a bunch of doxing, saying I used something awful, which I never have. Yeah, I don't know. There's all kinds of weird fucking fan fiction people wrote, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, it all kind of depends. I mean, personally, my hot take that a lot of people push back on is I think the Gamergate thing, not directly, but kind of led into the Trump stuff to a degree. Because it's all kind of, it was basically putting the name to the whole anti SJW movement that had been brewing for like 4 years prior.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. It's something we can definitely talk about. Um, I I think there is a connection between like the way we talk about politics today
Yeah,
and Gamergate.
yeah.
I
And a
think
lot of
that the
people don't
connection
like
though.
saying that.
Oh, go ahead.
What was that?
Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
A lot of people don't like saying that kind of stuff because they think it means like it's demon the fucking shit demonifying Gamergate or something, or saying Gamergate's directly responsible for Trump being elected, which it isn't. It's not that big of a deal, but it did lead to things like that Milo dude who was like a fucking social climber extreme that I even called out at the time because the dude fucking never cared about video games. And it led to him, which then led to him kind of like running PR for Trump online and shit. So I mean, to a degree, it did kind of like move the window to the right a little bit, just by giving him a platform.
Yeah, and I agree. He was a scam artist 100%. He was never in it
Yeah,
for any legitimate thing. And I knew
he
that at
even
the
said
time
from
too. I
he said off the jump he didn't give a fuck about video games.
Yeah. And I knew
He
that
just
at
had connections.
I knew that at the time too.
Yeah,
And I so in the beginning, I didn't get involved in Gamergate until 2015. But in the beginning, quote unquote, for me, um, I was like, okay, this guy's obviously a grifter, but he's a journalist for like a pretty major publication.
yeah,
And he's willing to cover Gamergate in a more neutral or positive way. So
yeah.
my perspective was, as long as he doesn't violate any ethical rules as a
Mm-hmm.
journalist, I'm probably fine with him being here. Now later on, I ended up condemning him, and a lot of
Yeah.
Gamergate people did, because like he was crossing the line, dude. Like with the Brianna Wu stuff when he outed her as trans, and then
And
also
the
with when he was talking about like he was talking
sex
about
with
like
children.
yeah, the sex with children and stuff like that
That's a
was
fucking weird thing to say, dude. Like, what way to fucking just kill your whole like career?
yeah. And so like obviously like I'm like, look, I don't want anything to do with this guy. This guy is, and I think a lot of Gamergate people did condemn this guy. I know a lot of them
Yeah,
did. Um,
I can't defend him at that point.
yeah. So I also so but I don't think like you said, Gamergate didn't cause Trump, and I don't think most Gamergate people even voted for Trump. Like, if you look at there's some high quality data out there from like Brad Glasgow. He had some pretty good methodology to determine who's a part of Gamergate or not.
I remember that
Um,
name a little bit.
yeah, he was a journalist who covered it, and
Yeah,
his research it matched up with other surveys, but the other surveys I don't know if they didn't have as solid of a methodology. It was more like self-reported, whereas Brad Glasgow's survey um, it was really intense because he was really rigorous in the data he used because he
yeah.
wanted to make sure that he had to verify that everyone who participated in the survey, he manually verified himself that they had
Mm-hmm.
been a supporter of Gamergate, by which he means that they had tweeted about it or posted on Reddit about it or made a video about it or left a comment on a video. Like you had to have proof
Yeah.
that you were a GamerGate person, and he got almost 1,000 people to participate in this. So I feel like that's a pretty good way to do it, and especially since the proof had to be prior to him announcing the project. So it's
Yeah.
not like somebody could like post a tweet as soon as he announced it and be like, "Oh look," you know. So I feel like that's a pretty good way to go about doing it. And he found that the
Yeah.
vast majority of the GamerGate people, not the vast majority, but like most of the people, were pretty like center left ish,
Yeah.
um, like pretty
Yeah.
moderate people.
I'll say it never really seemed like a political type movement, at least not at first. I know a lot of that kind of bled into the whole Trump thing, but it seemed like a decent enough array of people, like wide.
But I
Also, really funny was the whole "not your shield" thing. That was fucking all time classic hilarious right there. Like fucking imagine being so mad you have to go, what? A black guy agrees with me. I'm not racist.
well, hang on. I've actually interviewed one of the second person in the world to use the Not Your Shield hashtag. I've actually interviewed him,
Yeah,
and
I just scared my
he
cats
he
doing that.
himself, he himself was like, he. This wasn't like a bunch of white people saying, "Look, I've got a black friend," right? It wasn't that.
Yeah,
It was a lot of black people. Like the first person to use the hashtag, we're pretty sure the first person to support it was Nino, who is black, and then there's also Bash Fluff, who I've never seen their face, but I think they're like gender fluid or something. I don't know.
yeah,
They're something like that. And so they're the second person to use it. And oh, I'm sorry, they're trans, but then they detransitioned. But at the time they were trans. Sorry, that's what it was. Sorry,
yeah.
Bash Fluff.
I think there's a lot of people making
But
that point about themselves,
yeah,
but 99, I do think there's a lot of white people pointing to that going, hey, look, I can't be sexist. A woman agrees with me, which I think is a stupid fucking argument for anything.
that is a dumb argument, but a lot of those people, like Bash Fluff, who I talked with, said that they were tired of the media and of the anti-Gamergate people constantly saying, "Oh, you're just a white man. You're just a white man. You're just a white man,"
Yeah,
and they're like, "No, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not a straight white
yeah,
man. I'm literally trans, or I know he's literally black." And so like they're really upset that the media keeps saying, "Oh, Gamergate's a bunch of straight white men who hate women," and it's like, well, that's not even true. One, I don't hate women, and two, I'm not the thing that you're even saying I am.
yeah.
So I
I think that's
understand their
fair.
frustration.
That's fair for them to be frustrated about that, yeah. But I just think it's goofy when that kind of wound up, ironically, being a shield against those allegations of like, oh, this racism. Oh, it's how can it be sexism? There's a woman. How can we be? How can it be? We be racist when we have black people who agree with us? Like that's stupid. There's women out there and black people who have beliefs that are antithetical to their entire existence. Like people do not make sense, and that's just kind of one of the defaults of the world.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely like weird cases like that, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm
But
not saying that
given
as in
the
like I'm not saying that as in GamerGate is pro racism or anything.
yeah, no,
It's not. I feel like I mean there's definitely it's a wide net of people. There's probably some racist people in there, but I mean it's not a racist organization. It's just a weird thing to do to be playing the my black friend card. It just looks weird. When all
well,
you really have to do to avoid those accusations is just say, fuck you, no, I'm not.
so I do think that the fact that such a huge number of minorities and women supported Gamergate, like it, that it's not just like one guy who's like the blind black guy in the comedy skit, right? Who's like he's blind, he doesn't know he's black, and so he's racist, right?
Yeah, that's Chappelle skit. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
this isn't like one or two people who are like kind of fringe weirdos. Like this
No.
is like a huge number of women who are like, no, look, I'm a gamer. I've played games my whole life or for decades,
Yeah.
and I love video games. And I don't think that GamerGate, which I'm a supporter of, is this thing that you're saying it is. I think that's actually a pretty powerful message when it's so many of them
Fair.
too, and they have so
Yeah.
many great stories about how they love video games.
Yeah. When it's done like wholesome and with good intentions, I agree. I do think there's probably a good handful of people that might have seen that as a way to jumpstart a media career or clout chase. I've seen many such cases.
Oh yeah, there were people on both sides who were definitely.
100%. People see this and they're like, "Hey, chill the fuck out of there." Sorry, cats. But yeah, no, there's people on both sides who just probably saw that and thought, "Hey, I'm gonna milk this shit. I'm gonna be the token black guy for GamerGate, and this is gonna give me a bunch of followers. Then when this shit is over, I'll be able to just talk about whatever I want."
I'm a Milo, I guess, is like an example of somebody who used
Oh,
it to
yeah.
clout chase 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though he wasn't black, of course, but like as a general, like, he was obviously a scammer. Not a scam. He didn't scam people, but
Yeah.
he was in it for the money and the fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, did he scam people? I don't know, because he had that whole like scholarship thing. I don't know if that was legit, but
Yeah, he does scam people. I remember that.
well, I don't know
That
if they ever
fucker.
ended up doing the scholarship or not. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, he
I don't.
possibly
I don't
scammed
think he
people.
needed to be interacting with any young high school age men at all.
Yeah, probably true. Yeah.
I was trying to line up the next round of victims.
Well, to be clear, like for the book, I gotta be careful. Um,
Yeah.
he says that he himself was victimized by a priest,
Yeah.
but he thinks that that's okay. Which like,
Yeah. I think
which
like
like,
him
it's
talking
not a
about his
that's
own.
not a take you should have. To be clear,
No,
but like it, I don't.
I
There's
get. I think 90% of it is him trying to normalize his own experience and make it seem more okay for him. But it's a weird thing to come out as a gay guy and say that pederasty is normal for gay people, because then you're basically just saying that gay people are pedophiles, whether you intend to or not. And it's kind of a bad look.
yeah, and he also like today. He's got this whole new grift because he's grifted like 6 or 7 different groups. He switched his beliefs like every 2 years.
They're trying
Um,
to get into Kanye's team for president or some shit.
He might have been. I don't know about that specific claim, but I know that he is now an ex-gay, quote unquote,
Yeah, I
Christian
remember.
fundamentalist. He was able to pray the gay away,
That's fucking
quote
funny.
unquote. Yeah, and that's his new grift, basically.
He pulled the fucking. It's just like that fucking Ian Miles Chong guy.
Yeah, he was a
That
grifter on
fucking.
the other side. Yeah,
Yeah, that guy fucking switched sides too once the money dried up. What a fucking little weirdo.
yeah, and that was,
Jesus
and
Christ.
I saw right through that guy. Both of them, really. I saw right through
Yeah,
him from the start because, like, dude, well, the Miles Chung guy, I thought he was a legit anti-gamergator because he
yeah,
was for like 3 years, and then he decided, oh no, actually, I'm gonna like suddenly, all of a sudden, with no prior buildup whatsoever, say that I'm now like an anti-SJW figure. It's like,
yeah.
what the fuck? Like, what the
And
fuck?
look how quickly all those Hitler screenshots went away. Remember that? When he
Uh,
was anti-Gamergate, all those people were posting all those old screenshots of him saying, "Oh, kill the Jews, hail Hitler," all that weird shit, because he was trying to be edgy or just larping online or some shit. And then suddenly he's on our team. Oh, we're pretending that didn't happen.
Well, I mean, look, some people were like, "Oh boy, look, one of the big game journalists," because he was the editor in chief of GameRanks, right? So
Yeah, the
um,
mighty have fallen.
yeah. So like, some people did welcome him and were like, "Oh yeah, look, he's on our team now." But I think a lot of people too were like, "No, this guy's a grifter." I was in the he's a grifter camp. Don't engage,
Oh, he's a
personally.
grifter now. Even like, look, he
Oh,
fucking
he
posts
is.
like engagement bait on Twitter now that they have the Twitter blue shit. He'll post like memes and crap, stuff he's never fucking posted before. He's trying to get people to give him money.
Yeah.
He doesn't even live in fucking America. That's the funniest part. He lives in fucking Malaysia, and all he posts about is U.S. politics.
Yeah. You're
What a
absolutely
fucking
right.
freak.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's 1,000% a grifter. But so here's the thing too. Like, if somebody legitimately changes their mind about Gamergate,
Yeah.
I think that that's totally cool, and I want to welcome that person with open arms.
Yeah, people should be
But
allowed to
you,
change their mind,
but the
but
but the way
like,
he
if you're
went
doing it
about
like,
doing it was so suspicious.
yeah, if you're just blatantly doing that, just like if there's no gradual change or anything, it's not just, oh, hey, I'm this guy now. That's not how people work.
And he was like really like he was like one of the main anti-Gamergate people too. He would tweet about this shit all the time. It was like,
Yeah.
have you seen like his tweets on this? It was like
Yeah.
every
No
day,
fucking
like
lies.
GamerGate's a hate group, GamerGate's evil, GamerGaters are Nazis. Every day, he'd write articles on his website, he'd publish articles on his website from other writers attacking GamerGate nonstop, like literally every day almost. And then like all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, actually, I was wrong, guys. GamerGate's not about harassment. My bad." What the
Mm-hmm.
fuck?
A fucking loser.
Yeah, really. So anyway, I want to the Trump thing. I do think there is. I don't think
Mhm.
the connection is like so. Like sometimes people in the media or people who are critical of GamerGate will be like, "Oh, GamerGate caused Trump or GamerGate caused the far right
Yeah.
or whatever." I think
That's
that's pretty
clickbait.
much yeah. And but I think this idea that most GamerGate people voted for Trump is not true either. Um, It's like we have like pretty like the data doesn't really back that up. In my own experiences with people in GamerGate, like some people did. Some people
Yeah.
did vote for Trump, but I'd be willing to bet that if you look at like the average American voter and then the average GamerGate person, the
Mhm.
average American voter voted for Trump at a way higher rate than the average GamerGate person did. And I've
I'm willing to
interviewed
believe that.
yeah, I've interviewed so many GamerGate people. I've um about 30 so far for this project, and like a couple of them are conservative, no doubt about it. You know, Mr. Game Diviner is open about how he's conservative. Hasio is open about how he's conservative. Ashkow is a conservative, very much so. And so is Mark Band. I think he classifies himself as a libertarian, but he
Hmm.
believes the election denial lies. Um, the Trump election lies. He believes
Yeah.
that stuff. So
Oh yeah.
did he
You mean
vote for
how he
Trump?
was?
Maybe.
You mean
But
how it was fake before it even happened?
oh yeah, he spent months being like, "Oh, it's going to be rigged, guys. It's going to be rigged." And
Yeah.
then none of the international observers found it. None of the courts sided with him. None of the internal the none of the Department of Justice said it was all fake. That it's
Mhm.
not true. That Trump is lying. And so did his own head of election security with the cybersecurity agency that he created and that he appointed the person to be the director of said this was one of the most secure elections in American history. And
Yeah.
he still lied about it and tried to remain a he's a fucking fascist. I really do believe he is. I really
He's a
do.
fucking idiot. And if anyone at this point who still believes him is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't think the whole, oh, all Trump supporters are racist thing. Like, back in 2016, no, there's a lot of good people I know that got duped by his shit. But no, by this point, he's a fucking, like, if you still are on that fucking Team Trump, you're a fucking moron. Plain and simple. He's a fucking, he lied about the election being fake. And frankly, I think that's the biggest problem is we live in a post-fact world where nowadays, if you don't agree with what is blatantly presented to you as reality, all you gotta do is say, oh, it's fake. The news is fake. The facts are fake. The scientists are fake. It's all bullshit. What I think is real. And that's more dangerous than anyone wants to fucking think.
You're
And no one wants
absolutely
to think
right.
about how fucked that is.
Well, and it's like two things. Like one of it is like these people have lost all trust in institutions, and that's
Yeah,
really bad. But at the same time, a lot of these institutions haven't done a lot to gain their trust. They
yeah.
really haven't, and they need to do better. They really
I mean,
do.
look at that Supreme Court dude, the one that was taking bribes, Clarence Thomas or whatever. Like that was supposed to be like the final fucking institution. That was supposed to be the one infallible thing in this country. And this dude's been taking bribes. Like that's so fucked and no one talks about it.
I haven't researched that specific case, but if that's true, obviously he needs to be impeached and removed and thrown in prison. So
I
that's
mean, no
all I'll
one's
say.
been like there's no like money trail or anything, but there's hey, this guy is friends with a billionaire. He goes on vacations with the billionaire. The billionaire gives him gifts and shit. And somehow he's making all these decisions in the Supreme Court in favor of the billionaire.
Yeah, it
You
sounds
know,
like he needs to go then if that's true because like
they all need to
just
go.
like with Gamergate, right?
Yeah,
It's either a conflict of interest or it's an appearance of a conflict of interest. You
yeah,
should try to avoid both.
fuck yeah. That's so fucked. Like,
But anyway, I want to tie it with the Trump thing, and maybe you'll disagree.
mhm.
But I think the real lesson that the media failed to learn from Gamergate and that could have possibly stopped Trump
Yeah,
and the way that the political left, certain elements of the left, failed to learn from GamerGate. They said, look, GamerGate blew up into this thing
Yeah.
because you were dishonest, the media,
Yeah.
and elements of like the anti GamerGate community and the media were dishonest in how they approached
Yeah.
it, and they demonized everybody who disagreed with them as being a monster. And then
Mhm.
they did those same exact things to everybody who was even on the fence about Trump. And so those people were like, well, you're going to call me a Nazi? Well, fuck it. I'm going to vote for the guy who doesn't call me a Nazi.
Yeah, I agree.
And the me,
I think like the deplorable thing. I remember when that came out. Hillary saying it was a bunch of deplorable people, and I'm like, well, you're not really fucking winning them over with that one, are you? I mean, the Democrat Party is a complete fucking failure in my mind. I mean, look at like fucking who. I don't know a single person who actually likes Joe Biden. I know people who voted for him because what other choice do we have? Like, if you're running basically on, hey, we're the second most unpopular, so I mean, what other choice do you have? Like, then what are you really doing?
yeah, and I look, I have mixed feelings about Joe Biden. Like, I actually,
Fucking idiot.
well, I do like that he's been very good on Ukraine.
Yeah,
I think that the most important issue is one, saving our democracy, which
yeah,
basically just means defeating Trump, and the second
yeah,
most important issue right now that human civilization faces
yeah,
is Russia's war of aggression against a
yeah.
sovereign democracy in Europe. I think that that's
They need to
like
be
a
fucking
huge
nuked.
deal, and he's been pretty good on that. He's not been
Yeah,
as good as I'd like. He needs to be
yeah,
way more aggressive in supporting Ukraine and send
yeah,
them more equipment and be more supportive. But he's done
yeah.
like an okay job with
He's
that.
not awful. I just personally think that people who are like, let's be real, he's losing his fucking faculties. He's old. Like, if you're that old, you shouldn't belong in the highest office. I mean, let's be real here.
He needs to step aside for somebody else.
Yeah,
But
that's what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to be a one-term president. He was supposed to come in, fix up whatever fucking Trump fucked up, and then that was going to be it. But now he's running again.
well, Teridax, what the fuck do we do about the fact that I look, obviously I agree. There were a lot of people who were duped by Trump in the past, and they were like, you know what? I lost my coal mining
Yeah,
job. He's gonna bring back the manufacturing to the U.S. That's good. And like other people voted for him because of racism. That's like true.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
were racial resentment or whatever you want to call it. Like a
Build
lot
that
of
wall.
yeah. And also, like, he's got a lot of crazy shit. Like, a judge of Mexican descent can't rule on my case because he's not a real American, or like he said some
Just
really
fucking
yeah, and yeah, it's just nonstop. Like, there's good people at the neo-Nazi march. Like, I don't know if that's true actually.
yeah. Woof.
um, like it just unforced error after unforced error. And then he also like doesn't believe in democracy, and he wants to suspend the Constitution if he gets reelected, which is like really bad actually.
Yeah, that's
Like,
probably something that should really stop anyone from being allowed to run for office
and
when they say they're
steal
gonna.
the he tried to steal the last election, which is like a huge fucking deal. That like the
Yeah,
and it's so weird because like if you look at like like the people who are conservatives, if you look at them like when this was happening, when he was trying to steal it, aside from the people who bought the lies, there were a bunch of people like, oh, this is really bad. Like even like Ben Shapiro and like a bunch of like basic bitch conservatives were like, oh no, this is horrible. We can't let him
yeah.
do this. This is awful. And now it's like a year and a half later, and they're like, oh well, you know what? I mean, sometimes you steal elections, sometimes you don't. Not really that big of a deal. Don't make a big deal
Happens.
about it, guys. Come on, let's just move past this. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
It's
Like,
insane, dude. It
we
really
should
is.
have better choices than we do.
Yeah, we need to have a
And
multi-party system.
exactly, but the two parties would never want that because that means more competition, which means they actually have to run on a real platform.
And I think
Because I
part
mean,
of God.
like I said, I mean, fucking Biden, I don't know a single goddamn thing through that whole campaign. I don't know a single fucking thing he ran on other than, hey, I'm not Trump.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. I mean, but that's I guess what we needed
Yeah,
in 2020. That's not what we
yeah.
need in 2024. We
No,
need a better candidate.
he should step aside, but he's not gonna. He's gonna fucking die in office. Fucking, he was like 82 now. Like, no, you do not need to be president. when you're that fucking old. My grandma was 82 and she started losing her fucking mind. Like, she should not have been in the office. No one should.
Yeah, I don't even care about his age. It's just that he
Yeah.
seems like he doesn't. He's completely disengaged. It seems
Yeah.
like he should be out there making a case, but he doesn't seem like he's capable of it. Maybe he's either unwilling or unable, one of the two.
Yeah.
And then now, because of this, we're possibly going to have a fucking fascist take over. Someone who already tried to fucking destroy our democracy literally 3 years ago is possibly going to get reelected. I mean, look,
Yeah.
Hitler was defeated the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hitler was defeated when he did the beer hall putsch.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop him, did it?
No.
And look, I don't think
And
Trump
I mean,
is like a Hitler figure in the same way. Trump's like Trump's an idiot,
he's
but
a useful idiot for the people
dangerous.
actually pulling the strings.
I wouldn't even say that. I'd say that I don't think there are people pulling the strings. I think it's just him being a fucking retard who can't accept the fact that he lost. But like,
pretty
you
much
can't just overturn election results just because of your ego. Okay.
I mean, dude was already allegedly already a billionaire. I mean, the only reason you run for president at that point is because you want power. You didn't want money, you just wanted power. And I guarantee you what likely happened is that the Republicans saw that he was taking off full speed ahead, actually had a chance, so they told him, hey, we'll get behind you if you fucking give us what we want. And that didn't work out the way they wanted. He made an ass of himself. That's why they all wound up having to disavow him. And now I'm wondering is if they're going to bend the knee whenever if he's able to pull ahead and become a candidate.
Anyway, man, sorry, we're getting a bit far afield from the GamerGate stuff.
We are. We went way off.
That's in large part my fault.
That's all good, man. Like I said, I got really no other plans for the day, so we can talk about whatever, whenever.
Yeah. So, Teridax, just bringing it back.
Yeah.
I'll say this, dude. I don't think that like the individual things that you did were like so awful that you need to like be thrown in prison.
No.
Because like you sent like a fake death threat, which like isn't good, dude. That's like not good at all. And then like you bribed kids to send death threats to Zoe Quinn and blame Gamergate for it, which is like really bad actually.
Yeah.
But man, I think that you fucked up Gamergate to some extent. Not just you, but you and the 30 other people that were doing stuff like this to make Gamergate look bad. Combined, like you guys had an impact. You really did, and I think that
I appreciate that.
Are you're partially responsible. Not you personally, like you personally to an extent, right? Like literally, like you and the 30 or 50 other people who wanted to troll people on both sides about this, especially the anti-Gamergaters. You made Gamergate look like a hate campaign when it really wasn't, and the media ran with it. Because they were lazy motherfuckers, and they also have their own biases.
I mean, personally, I don't think what I did was all that relevant to it. Honestly, no one really cared about it that much. The most I ever see is some random weirdo on like as far as today, most I see like some random weirdos on QE forums that see my name and it brings them back to all the weird fan fiction written about me, how I was like a paid troll or whatever, and how I was trying to bring down Gamergate. But I mean, if Gamergate wasn't a thing, it would have just been something else. I just found something else to fuck with.
Yeah, no, and I get that. That's why I don't like view it as like personal. It's not like you made it your life's mission to destroy Gamergate.
Yeah.
But you made it your life's mission to troll people when you were 20 years old.
Yeah.
And
it was fun.
Because of this, my community got demonized, which I don't like.
I mean, it was going to happen anyway. Let's be real.
It was.
It all came off of like 4chan and shit. It was all those people. I guarantee you that there was probably a few psychos. I mean, the whole third-party troll thing made it sound a little more too organized from what I really think it was just people completely unaffiliated with each other on like that just wanted to fuck with people. And they saw these people, these communities, this whole event thing taking notoriety online. And they're like, hey, I'm going to fuck with this guy. I'm going to fuck with that guy. And a lot of them were probably more malicious than me. Like, whoever fucking swatted those events, I don't know who the fuck did that. Some random guy.
Oh, the bomb threats.
Yeah, that shit. Like, I have no clue who the fuck did that. They never revealed themselves smartly. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been.
Personally, I
It could have
think
been
whether
anybody.
I could have just completely ignored it, and I guarantee you would have gone down the same way.
Yeah. And now I agree. I think that even if there wasn't like a single third-party troll, because there weren't
Yeah.
really that many of them,
No.
even if there wasn't a single one, the media probably still would have done, because the fact is they didn't even like ask like, hey, look, Brianna, you said that the Gamergate people are sending you death threats. What
Yeah.
evidence do you have for that? That was never asked even once, as far as we can tell.
Mhm.
And she was on ABC News saying that Gamergate is a terrorist organization. She literally said that on ABC News.
As a guy who's been accused of being at least part of at least 3 terrorist organizations, I can tell you that's not true.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about?
I, not really, I don't have anything to add. I've just been kind of going with the flow of it.
I bet this is probably weird for you too, because like I'm just some random guy who reached out to you and was like, "Hey, look, you want to talk about Gamergate?"
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's mostly just been trying to remember half this shit. Like, I fucking basically had to relearn everything I did a decade ago. I'm glad I had all those screenshots, though, because that reminded me of a bunch of shit that I didn't even remember doing.
So when I first reached out to you about this, what were you thinking?
I mean, I was kind of curious about why it's a thing, but I mean, I get where you're coming from with it, you know. And frankly, I'm just kind of happy you're including all parts of the story.
Yeah, I plan on this being pretty much like the definitive Gamergate work. And after this, I
Mhm.
mean, I don't get me wrong, I'm not some guy who was obsessed with Gamergate for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I was involved with Gamergate, and then I got out, I wrote my first book about it, and then I lived my life. And then
Mhm.
I'm coming back into the streamer world, and I'm like, you know what? I see all these streamers out there, and they're just basically shooting the shit, doing nothing. It's not doesn't seem to be productive. I want to do something real. I want to write another book. And I have access. If anybody can do it, it's me, because I have access to a huge number of people. I know a lot about the topic. I'm very well researched on it. And I could do a good job here that nobody else has done. I could do something unique and interesting that no other journalist, no other author, no other YouTuber, no other podcaster, no other anybody has done with this book.
Mhm.
So I'm going to fucking do it. And it'll be interesting, and it'll be of great historical significance, I think.
Well, I'm definitely wanting to read that whenever you're done with it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. And have you seen any of the other reviews so far?
I was looking at your channel. I might check some of those out, leave them on as like background noise and stuff later tonight. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I normally stream it from my main channel, but
I
some of
wonder
the
why not.
some of the some of the people were like, "Hey, look, I don't want this guy associated with me, so please don't invite him to our Discord, to my Discord." And so I'm
People
like,
said that?
"Well, people said that in private." Because like
Weird.
it's well, because I think
It's so weird.
I don't know if they know all that like they were just like, look, I don't want to be associated with this guy. Please just don't bring him into the Discord. And so I'm like, okay, I'll invite him to my colleague's Discord, and we'll
Yeah,
have the
it's
conversation there. And I reached out to her moderator team first to make sure that she's okay with that, and they were
yeah,
totally cool. And this is a fun community. If you want to
yeah.
stay in the food market community,
Yeah, I'll stick around. I just think it's funny that people like I could not care less about any of that shit now. Like I don't know what they think, what kind of havoc they think I'm gonna wreak, but I don't care. Like so fucking weird.
well, you can understand, right? Because like a lot of these people,
Yeah,
well, one,
but like
they don't know all that you did. So as far as they know, like holy shit, this guy could be like a fucking doxer, right? For all they
yeah,
know, right? And maybe you are, right? You deny it, um,
yeah. I
but
don't
like
remember doing it.
yeah, but like you can understand their trepidation.
Yeah, I mean 90% of doxing is just googling anyway. So I mean, realistically, I think I mean, most times I've seen people get doxxed is because their real name is associated with their online name in some way. And
Oh yeah,
like,
like
I
there's
feel
like
like,
different degrees too. Like
there's-
releasing.
yeah, like, hey, this is your real name. Hey, this is your social security number. Like, that's some no shit right there. I don't care at all. Like, I'm not gonna fuck with that.
Yeah. So
That's heavily illegal.
yeah, yeah. Don't like social security number, address, phone number. Like way no
Well,
no 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 no.
address isn't. It might be now, but at least back then it wasn't like a crime necessarily. Social security numbers are 100% illegal. You can't post that anywhere. But I remember back then. It might be different now. That's more of a thing. But yeah, back then, I mean, you could post that fucking someone's address, and it's not that big of a deal. Or at
Yeah.
least it's not a crime. It's against terms of service against basically everywhere, but it's not a crime.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Obviously, I don't. I just want to make it clear. I don't support I don't support harassment in any way.
But yeah, no,
And I
none of
just
that shit should be done ever.
I wanted I wanted to interview the third party trolls, and honestly, I didn't know what the fuck to do going into this. I really didn't. I had some ideas. I've been thinking about it a lot, actually,
Yeah,
Teridax. But I was like, fuck, dude. Like, how do I? Because I normally I use a list of questions that I've created and that I've run by both pro and anti GamerGate people.
yeah,
So I'm getting anti GamerGate people's feedback, pro GamerGate people's feedback, and seeing what they think of the questions first. But like with you, I'm like, well, I guess I'll do freeform because like there's no like I'm not gonna like ask you about like random events that happened during GamerGate because you didn't care about that. You were just trolling people.
yeah. I barely like half the shit kind of came back to me as we were talking, but like some of the shit I was like, what the fuck? When did that happen?
All right. Well, hey, thank you for agreeing to do this.
Hey, no problem, man. It
And
was a lot of fun.
yeah, and yeah, take care, man. Last chance. Anything else you want to talk? Oh, actually, I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Looking back, and you've kind of already addressed this, but I'll give you a chance to like put it in your own words, um, thoughtfully. Looking back, what do you think about what you did back then?
I think it was funny, and I think it's even funnier that people still care because I've done funnier shit since then, but like people still bring it back to the Gamergate shit, and I don't know, it's just weird to me. Like I really kind of forgot about half of that shit. I guess that's kind of funny too that people are still hung up on the things that I did that I don't even remember that are just such like a distant fucking like, oh yeah, I did that. I forgot about it kind of thing. There's other stuff I did online that I can still remember to this day, but that was just so like I said, the whole Smash game codes thing, I did that like 30 times with 30 different like things. I think one of them was like, hey, send this guy some gay porn and I'll give you the code. But like that was somehow the one thing that really stuck. And that's just weird to me. Also, who the fuck made that weird swastika shrine? I want to know that. That's so fucking creepy. Why are you doing that shit?
Yeah, I don't know. It was the person who vandalized the GamerGate wiki, and he we can you can I mean I don't know if he made it, but you can go through the edit logs. There's actually archives of them of the wiki to see who edited it. So it was you can find out like the username, which is probably a throwaway account. So like
Yeah,
like it's not really going to be that useful, but you
yeah,
can find out what throwaway username they used to vandalize it.
yeah,
But also we don't know that they made it. They could have just taken that artwork from somewhere else when they vandalized it and then put it on there. So who knows?
yeah. Still though, someone at some point made a weird shrine to me with like a swastika behind it, and I find that very fucking strange. Not the weirdest thing people have done to me.
All right. Well, hey, yeah, thanks again for doing this.
Hey, no problem,
And
brother.
hey, enjoy your Saturday, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, you too, brother. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
All right. Oh, hey, we can talk off air for a second if you want to talk about something.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Ending your